tell me how this Red Sox team is any different from last year's Red Sox team. Tell me, what's the difference? Because I can't seem to find one. The record is decent right now. I just don't have any real expectation of that lasting. They're no different. Defensively, they're a mess. They don't seem focused. They're hurt again already. Couple of weeks in. Trevor Story, injured, done for the year, crying in the clubhouse.
Second time crying. We'll get to that. I got a big problem with that.
Okay, Zoe has a big problem with the crying.
Well, once you did it once, I mean, I don't know if the second time you got to do it a second time. Like, is it going to be what time's the game today? 7:10 start. Is he going to cry tonight too? We're going to do that too.
Yesterday, the news came out he was done for the year.
Does he care?
Seems like it.
Wow, guys care. Did anybody in this room say nobody cared, or that the ownership doesn't care? Which one doesn't care? Because I think the players care. Players, it's your job, it's your ass. So the narrative that's being spun out there, we'll just get to it right now with him. They all care. They all should care. Why should we be posting videos of him crying, saying, well, at least he cares? Is that how you feel, that it's going to be that bad that you have to post something like that to say he cares? Of course he freaking cares. He's a player.
You know
He's
why?
getting paid to play.
You know why I declare this team dead on April 10th? Because mentally they don't have it.
They don't.
They're a weak group. They don't have the ability to overcome the bad things that have already happened to them that they don't have any control over. They don't have any control over Trevor Story needing surgery and being done for the year. They don't have any control over Nick Pivetta getting hurt. They don't have control over these things, yet they don't have the ability to overcome it. They've lost focus. They look like crap in the field yesterday, whether it's Devers or it's Jarren Duran in left. They just don't have it.
Was the hair blonde or was it dyed differently? Like, if we were more worried about that, we worried about dyeing hair back and forth instead of catching baseballs.
And by the way,
and then we're going to punch lockers after the game.
They're not all that talented. And so I've heard some people, I won't name names, let's say Trevor Story going down, Matt McCarthy. Oh, I just said a name. Shouldn't be a massive loss for this team because all they need to do is replace him defensively to keep things in order, right? I don't believe that anymore. I believed that 2 days ago that, okay, he may not be a major loss because offensively he has given them nothing as a member of the Red Sox. So defensive replacement will be okay. But you know what I didn't account for? I didn't account for the fact that all the good vibes, leader in the league in vibes, the Red Sox coming out of spring training, we're going to lose it all and become a puddle because of the bad stuff that has happened to them in the first couple of weeks. So that's what I didn't account for. I have no hope for this team. None.
At 7-4?
7-4. I got no hope for them.
You saw it in the immediate aftermath after the Story injury.
Yeah, you saw it in that game, and then you saw it yesterday on opening day when they announced he's done for the year. Maybe he was this big-time leader in that clubhouse, like he had been talked up to be, that he had taken over a real leadership role, and that was a good thing that he was back and was healthy and was there every day. Well, guess what? He's not going to be there every day going forward.
Right.
He was the guy when everyone, Kenley Jansen, Rafael Devers, was taking shots about the front office and what they did. He was the one guy who stepped up and said, hey, doubt us, think what you will about us. Everyone's counting us out. We're better than that. We're going to impress people. We're going to open eyes. Just sending that message along. That was Justin Turner a year ago. That message is completely gone now. And there's no Justin Turner now to put his arm around a guy like Jarren Duran, who clearly is going through stuff off the field and has a hard time when things aren't going well for him.
So, Beetle, I think you and I actually are in complete agreement on Trevor Story. My argument always was that Trevor Story was way too important to this team. And he shouldn't be this important to this team because he's not that good. Bingo. That's the problem. They counted on him too much. You're counting on this guy to be your 3-hitter when he has had a 680 OPS over the course of the last 2+ years and hasn't been able to stay on the field. But you're right. He is, in many ways, a linchpin to what's going on this team, not only defensively, which I will totally grant, they need him, but in the lineup, in the clubhouse, everywhere. And the fact that Trevor Story, of all guys, is apparently the straw that stirs the drink for this team.
That's problem one.
That's the biggest problem right there. Why are you counting on this guy? He has not proven himself to be available, to be around for you on the field. And now all of a sudden he was the most important guy, and it kind of looks like he was the most important guy. That's bad news. Bad news.
But we've known that. The reality is the roster is what the roster is, and this is what they've had to work with. So when someone like him does go down, it does mean a lot. We've said all offseason you shouldn't be leaning on Trevor Story to be your number 3 hitter. That is not a fresh take or something new. We've all been saying that. We all begged for Justin Turner or Jorge Soler. Pick the guy you wanted. Reese Hoskins. Beto was on the Hoskins train for a long time.
That's on the Hoskins train for a year and a half.
Seriously, right when the injury happened, Beto was the first one. But this is what the team is made out of, and that's why you're upset, because it did mean that much.
Right, exactly. It's more about the rest of the team not being good enough. That's what it comes down to. It's not just about Trevor Story. I don't want to blame. You sound like you're blaming Trevor Story,
I'm not
McCarthy,
blaming
because
Story
you don't
one
like
bit.
him.
No, I
like Trevor Story.
He's a very good defender.
That's what it comes down to.
He's elite in the field.
But it's about the rest of the team. They're just not good enough to make up for even the loss of Trevor Story.
Don't you want to see the guy that you pay the most, the guy that you brought in as your big free agent? Don't you want to see him as a leader?
You're forced to be. Yes, it's forced on you. That the monetary part of it is, whether you like it or not, sometimes that's the way it affects a team and clubhouse. Because that guy's getting the most money.
So then
we know what Devers is making. That guy's number 2. And you don't think you had a different feeling when Bayo took the mound yesterday, knowing that he had the contract extension? You feel different about players. Oh, okay, there's Bayo. He's our guy. Because he just got paid. It's not crazy money, but it's good money for him. You're going to look at players differently. Look at Rafaelo. What he got? What 5 years? Or how much was it, 56 million?
50 million.
50 million.
8 years, 50
8
million.
years, 50 million. So you're going to expect those type of players to respond better in certain situations because you're monetarily paid that way.
So then let's talk about Rafael Devers and what he's given this team ever since he signed that contract, and what he's given this team this year. He's batting $194. He's still terrible in the field. Let's talk about that, because he's not good enough.
I think he feels
They're
alone.
not good enough.
I think he feels alone, left out there. Like Bogarts went. They were tight. He sees the vision. He knows we didn't bring in arms when they needed it at the trade deadline last year. He was outspoken. Yeah, he's the highest paid player. He's supposed to be your team leader. Doesn't feel like it.
I think his comments in spring training were that of a leader, and were that of somebody who had been in that clubhouse last year and was speaking on behalf of his teammates. But I think his on-field performance hasn't been good enough. Kind of like Trevor Story. His on-field performance hasn't been good enough. And that's a problem, too. When you're paying the few players on your team that you're paying a significant amount of money to, Devers, not good enough. Trevor Story, hurt, not good enough. Masataka Yoshida, $18 million a year, not good enough. Like, when we're talking about that, don't you understand where a lot of the problems come from?
He makes $18 million a year.
He's $18 million. Nice job, Hein. That was a good signing. Ooh, wow.
So is it all done now? And I'll tell you why it is all done in a sense this year, which I know it's harsh to say. It's April 10th. I get it. It's harsh to say, but I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you where everybody is. Everybody that I know that was there yesterday, that went to the game, came away saying the same thing. They're the same team again. Oh, they suck. They're writing them off. Mentally, it's the same place. Nothing's changed. Yeah, it was nice to go to opening day. Nice to go to the ballpark. Good weather.
Sure was.
Right?
Beautiful.
A lot of things to be there for and see pregame. Yeah, such a good pregame presentation. It brought people to tears. And then what happens? Let's go get some more beers. This team stinks again. They stink. The fans are already in that spot. I don't know how they're going to recover from that. Because mentally, as a fan, you're in the same place you were a year ago. You're picking right up where you left off at the end of last season. It's the same situation. It's just a continuation of where we were the last 6 weeks of the season last year when they unraveled and came undone. They're 7-4 and they're undone. The record may not reflect it, but they are undone.
And you heard from Cora, is the first sign, just like last year, we have a lot of young guys playing.
I couldn't believe what he said post-game. We'll get into that. It's remarkable how he has shifted, and boy, was I wrong about Cora keeping a good face on things, putting the good face on everything happening there, because you could see it in his facial expressions as he said that after the game yesterday. It sounds like he still does have a little quit in him. Excuse-making nonsense after the game. On April 9th, yesterday, the manager making excuses for the team. If you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Betrand here. For more Red Sox analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.